Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Well, time waits for no one. It catches up to everyone, and apparently it's caught up to Marques Colston with the Saints. We're waiting on something official where that's concerned, but it certainly appears that, the time for Marques Colston in New Orleans has come to an end, much like with Jerry Evans, and it's a sad day, Lenny.
It is, but at the same time, it's not surprising. It's, when you start talking about a position, especially like wide receiver, it's one where you can see some declining skills, as you get into your 30s. There can be some exceptions to that, but clearly, Marques Colston has dealt with some injuries, has seen his production decline. We've seen increased production from some other guys, most notably Brandon Cooks. Willie Snead was kind of like Marques Colston was 9 years ago. Just came from, off the radar, so to speak, and made a significant contribution this year. So, again, you'd have to say he is the most significant wide receiver in the history of this franchise, just on sheer numbers. That they back it up, and catches, yards, touchdowns across the board. His contribution, you probably, in terms of offensive players, you may even put him in the top 5 in franchise history in that regard. So, it will come a day where he will get his due in terms of all of the honors, the Saints Hall of Fame, probably the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame. He'll be in all of those. But at the end of the day, you have to at some point say, okay, your time is done, and it appears that is the case. We just don't know if it's going to come now, if it's going to come after March 9th when the league year begins.
And, of course, Tom Benson winning his latest round in court, this time in New Orleans as compared to in Texas, where the trust went the other way. This time the competency ruling upholds his competency in terms of locally. So I don't think we've seen the end of it, but this is just another round, I suppose.
Another round, and while the ruling was one thing, the interesting part to me was the statement that he released yesterday with some stinging comments towards the family. And look, if it is what it is, and we take it at face value, you can't blame the guy for saying some of the things that he said out there, and just wanting to be able to get on and not have some of the disruptions, if you will, from his family members in this regard.
Of course, the Pelicans are the other team that the Bensons own, and the Pelicans back in action Thursday night against Oklahoma City off of a loss at Washington where they got whipped, basically. Anthony Davis went from scoring 59 to scoring single digits. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I think it's happened, one time in the last decade or something like that. But, no, that's crazy. We're getting into a key stretch of the schedule here for the Pelicans. Oklahoma City, if you could find a way to win that one, would be great. But coming up next week, you play two of the teams that are right up ahead of you if you are indeed going to make a move to get to that 8th spot, and that's Houston and Utah. Houston on the road next Wednesday, and then Utah at home next Saturday. So while Oklahoma City and then next Thursday San Antonio will certainly be games that will get the spotlight because they'll have national TV exposure and things like that, those are two very key games to look at as we look at these next 10 days on the schedule.
No doubt about that. The NFL Scouting Combine going on in Indianapolis, and Al Dupuy writing about it at SportsNOLA.com with players to watch of local interest from Louisiana, and of course he'll write an analysis when it's over with as well. But, a host of LSU players, 5 of those, 3 from Louisiana Tech. Southeastern Louisiana has a player there. So the bottom line is that this is a good measuring stick for NFL personnel in terms of making decisions about where they're going to go.
It is, and 2 guys from Louisiana to watch for. One from LSU is Debo Jones, who is shooting up some draft boards right now, so much so that might even be talked about in the first round when this is all said and done, which is a 1-year starter at LSU. Go figure. The other guy from Louisiana, who's not from a Louisiana school but still played his high school ball in Louisiana, is Dak Prescott from Mississippi State, from Houghton, who, again, is shooting up a lot of boards as well and might even have himself in the discussion of top 5 quarterbacks when this is all said and done. Could he be a first-round pick? I don't know about that, but he could still maybe play himself into the 2nd or 3rd round. Quarterbacks, sounds like all of the quarterbacks on Saturday are going to throw, which is always a question at this time. It'll be interesting to see what some of those guys do on the field in terms of the drills on Saturday at the Combine.
College baseball weekend coming up. Tulane off of a win midweek. And, of course, LSU off of a loss, UNO off of a loss. Bottom line is that these are games that matter down the road. You want to win those non-conference games, especially for RPI against good opponents.
You do. LSU had a crazy game against Lamar. They had an 8-0 lead in the top of the second inning and let it get away, lost the game 12-11. It was really a crazy kind of game. They could have scored more than 8 in the second inning and built even a bigger lead. They had the bases loaded with 1 out. I think like 11 guys in a row reached base in the course of the inning, and then a couple of strikeouts got them out of it. And it was just, back and forth after that. Lamar came back, took the lead. LSU got it back, then they gave it away. Just a crazy game. You look ahead to this weekend. LSU's got Sacramento State at home. There are a couple of big tournaments this weekend. UL Lafayette is heading to what used to be known as the Houston College Classic in Houston. Now it's the Shriners Hospital Classic. And Tulane heading to a new tournament in San Diego, which I love the format. It's 8 teams, but instead of these round robins and it's all predetermined, they're actually playing a bracket. Tulane's going to open with an Arizona team that just beat Rice 2 out of 3. It's a really, really good field. Teams that have all 8 of them have either been on the precipice or have all been in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. So it should be a really fun weekend of baseball in San Diego.
High school sports, congratulations to the Northlake Christian boys and the Newman girls for winning Division IV state championships on Wednesday night. Championships continue with Division III on Thursday, Division II on Friday, Division I on Saturday. Full coverage through SportsNOLA.com.
Yeah, Alan DeRitter is keeping you up to date almost to the moment with what's going on there and providing you unique insight. Stay with it. He'll have it all weekend for us at SportsNOLA.com.
And, of course, the high school basketball playoffs. You can read our preview on the girls' quarterfinals going on Thursday night. And we have a preview on the Mount Carmel-John Curtis game. And then, of course, on Friday night, the boys' playoffs getting underway. And we'll be part of that because we have a pair of local teams hooking up. Last year they played a tremendous game in the second round, a 1-point game. It's West Jefferson, the number 6 seed, at home against 27 seed Brother Martin.
Should be a lot of fun. Hope it's as good as it was last year, a 1-point kind of game. Look, I think with these teams, when you get local teams together who know a lot about each other, seeds don't really matter as much. This will be closer than 6 versus 27 suggests. And stay with us. Hopefully, an opportunity to get some more playoff basketball before the teams head to Lake Charles in a couple of weeks.
So watch Friday night. It's Brother Martin and West Jefferson. Don't miss it. And then on Saturday, you can listen to high school baseball, Rummel and Riverside at 4 o'clock from Chalmette. And you can listen to that one on WGSO 990 AM and at WGSO.com. So everything's kind of interspersing right now.
This is the time of year things really start to overlap, and it's a lot of fun. And look, on the high school front, but before we get away, our prayers with everybody in the River Parish area. St. Charles Catholic, I know, endured some significant damage to their athletic facilities. Our best to them as they try to get things back up and running. They're supposed to host baseball and softball tournaments this weekend. I'm not so sure how that is going to happen with some of the things that they endure, but they're good people out there, and indeed they will get things back up and running in short order.
All right, Lenny, thanks for the visit. That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. He's Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.